Welcome to my devotional thoughts. Today I would like to talk about something that we all have apprehension about, and that's our limitations. You know, so many people think that because they have so little, they can do so little, or because they are less talented or capable than other people that they know, that maybe God's not going to use them for great purposes. You know, I want to challenge that this morning. And the reason I want to challenge it is because I see so many people throughout the pages of the Scripture, the Bible, who have been given opportunity to use their abilities, as small as they might seem, for the glory of God, for powerful things that happen. And so, here we are today. You know, when God had Moses, selected him as a shepherd, Moses was standing before the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And as Moses was standing before the Pharaoh, it was one of those situations where he was trying to figure out how he could make a point. God basically told Moses, "What's that in your hand?" "It's a staff. Every shepherd carries one. Throw it down," and it became a serpent. Well, a staff didn't seem like a significant object in the hand of Moses, and yet it became a very powerful tool to communicate the word and the will of God. Fast forward to the time of Jesus. There were 5,000 men plus women and children that were in need of being fed one day, and a little boy came up and tugged the shirt sleeve of one of the apostles because he had his lunch that had been packed by his mother for the day. There were only fish and loaves in there. And the disciples brought the little boy and his lunch to Jesus and said, "You know, all we have here is a few fish and a few loaves, and yet what are they among so many?" You know, fish and loaves, a staff in the hand of the Lord, can be powerful instruments. It's not the insignificance that God is concerned with. It's the significant of the insignificant things that become powerful demonstrations of His love, His grace, and His ability. So you're there today wondering, what is it in my life that I have that I can use for the Lord? And it may seem insignificant, like a shepherd's staff, or perhaps like fish and loaves, but in the hands of the Master, it becomes a very, very powerful tool when dedicated to His glory. There's the difference. So what do you have? What's in your hand? What's in your life? What are the things, the tools that you have that you can use for His glory? It may seem insignificant. The Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians 12:9 said, Jesus replied, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." To which the apostle said, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Well, let me give you another illustration. Niccolo Paganini, the great concert violinist, once stood before a packed house surrounded by a full orchestra. He performed a number of very difficult pieces before playing one of his favorites, a violin concerto. Shortly after beginning the piece, with the Italian audience sitting in rapt attention, one of the 4 strings on the violin broke. Relying on his genius, he improvised and played on the remaining 3 strings. Shortly thereafter, a 2nd string snapped, and he continued to improvise, never missing a beat. Almost at the end of the magnificent concerto, a 3rd string snapped. Amazingly, he finished the piece playing on a violin with only 1 string. The audience stood to its feet and applauded until their hands were numb. They assumed the concert was over, but Paganini proceeded to play an encore with the full orchestra. He made more music on 1 string than many violinists could ever make with all 4. He took what appeared to be the most difficult situation and turned it into a triumph. He took what life handed him and used it to its full potential. So, what is life like with you on one string? I mean, when you come to that place where that's all you've got, then in the hands of Jesus, it's really all you need. Paganini knew it. In a concert, one string was sufficient. The Apostle Paul said, God's grace is sufficient for us. I would rather boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ could rest on me. I'm content, the Apostle Paul was saying, to going through life on one string. Because if I do it for the glory of God, it is a concert that will never be forgotten. What are you using for God's glory? What's in your hand? What's in your life? What's that one string that God can use for his purpose? May the Lord bless and keep you. Have a great day in the Lord.